I'm going to just start off by asking you, has fitness always been a part of your life? Like, were you always like a rugrat moving around, making waves in different sports and moving your body?
Yes, always. Yeah, when I was, I used to like ride bikes a lot when I was like really little. And like, you guys know that game where you like ride as fast as you can like into each other? Chicken, yeah. I used to play that all the time with boys in my neighborhood, and my mom's like, "You're ruining bikes. Like, what are you even doing?" And like, so she got me into track and field when I was like 10. So like, she needs to run out her energy or something. And I'm the oldest of 5, so I have tons of brothers and sisters always running around. And as the oldest, I was just like always like trying to teach them stuff and trying to take them places. And like when I was like 15, I started training my brother, who was only 9, and I'd be like, "We're going down to the basement." And we'd go to the basement, and I would take him like whatever was there. I would just teach him to do stuff. And like I remember one time we did 100 bicep curls with a 5-pound weight. Like this. I just made it up. I was like, we're gonna do this. And like we like probably had rhabdo at that age, right? It's like I think I'm like a trainer, right? And it's just like as I grew up, I went into college and started mentoring younger girls, and it kind of grew from there. Even starting CrossFit coaching, I wanted to coach right away, even before I even knew how to do CrossFit. So before I could squat below parallel, I wanted to teach others how to squat below parallel. And I'm just like, it's always been like that for me, whether it was moving, teaching, training, like I've always loved it.
So fitness has been a part of your life, but I'm sure you have those moments where the challenge, the sweat, the tears on the floor manipulates itself into real life. I mean, does that happen for you? Do you have moments where you go through tough times and you're eligible to pick up those tough times here and use them in real life?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all of us can say that like coming into the gym, like you're not just working on your gym life, right? You're working on, skills that you can take outside of the gym. And that's something where like even going through a hard workout or, even developing perseverance, that's part of your character that is gonna help you throughout your whole life. Like hopefully the workouts I'm doing now, they will still affect me when I'm like 70 years old, like trying to get through, let's say, health things or family things or emotional things. Like when we push ourselves in here, like we learn how to push ourselves outside of the gym. And like just like any of you guys, like I've been through hard times. Like sometimes people look at social media and they're like, oh, like that person feels like their life is like perfect. And I'm like, I can tell you a lot of stories, okay? Just sit down for a second, And so it's really just about how you pick yourself up. And, people say like do a burpee and get right back up. And like I've done that so many times in my life where things were really hard, or I lost my job, or I made it really close to making it to the CrossFit Games and came 1 point away and had to train for another year to get the next chance, moved to a different region, came 1 point away, didn't make it, had to wait a whole nother year. Finally, there were times when I made it, right? There were times when I made it to the CrossFit Games. I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. But even when you get to that moment, there's still like, this is it? I thought it was going to be better than this. I've been wanting this for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You get to the point of like being on a podium at the CrossFit Games and you're like, I thought I was gonna feel better than this. So even if you're working towards something, make sure you're really careful with what you put as your number 1 priority here on earth, because there's so much more out there. There's so many more goals. There's so many more things that are more important. And for me, my faith is like an ultimate background to everything I do. And it's been a really amazing support for me, but it's not only when I'm weak that I want to like lean on God. Like it's times when I'm really strong, when I'm like, wow, God, like you've showed me so much, you've blessed me so much, I'm so grateful, but I know that He has still so much more to show me in different stages of life. So I'm never like, this is it. Like when I was 25, I wasn't like, this is the best time of my life. I'm like, there's still more. It keeps getting better. Like there's still more lessons to learn, still more that He can show you. So, if you ever put like something on a pedestal, let's say like getting a muscle up. Oh, when I get a muscle up, it's gonna be so amazing. Well, what happens if you never get one? What happens if you can never get a muscle up? Are you gonna spend your whole life wishing you could? Probably not. You're probably gonna get onto different parts of your life where you don't really care about that much, and something else is just as important. And so things change. I don't like the words like giving up, because sometimes we just change our passion and we move around and we want things a little more, and that's okay too. Being an athlete isn't the only thing that describes me. I'm so much more than that. I'm a daughter, a friend, now I'm a wife, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a sister. There's lots of things in my life that I can work on, not just one thing.
I think that's important because I think especially someone like you who has such a robust following on social media, we all think we know you. And we do know a side of you. Actually, I really love your social media because it is real. You are hilarious, the memes, the GIFs, everything that you put on. It's not your standard curated social media platform, which I appreciate because you are so real. And I wonder, what you're saying, I think, is so important for all of us to hear, but I'm sure you arrived there through trial and error. So in addition to faith, can you give like an example of how do you break it down mentally? How did you get to this position where you're like, yeah, have goals, have things you want to strive for, but be okay knowing whether you get there or not, it's not the end all be all and it doesn't need to define you. Like what was it mentally that you learned, or how did you get to that point where you picked yourself up and you're like, this was the mantra, the message, the something that made you understand at that aha moment?
I guess it's just just growing in different capacities in our life, like growing, and it's like, well, what do we need for growth, you know? For growth, we need a challenge, getting through a challenge, finding greatness at the end, whether you get the challenge or not, whether you do and succeed or whether you don't, finding the benefits, the silver lining of every situation. So there's gonna be like accumulation of that in our lives. And so it's like, I guess for me, it's just finding growth, getting through it, developing character, finding growth again, getting another challenge, another chance to develop more character. And like, I guess, even when you do get like something amazing, right, and you love working towards it, it's just realizing that it's actually the journey. Like, and I know that sounds super cheesy because it's so like cliche, but it's like, it's actually the journey that's the most important part. It's not actually the championship. It's not actually the actual competition. It might just be the training of it. And I love training. For me, like, I wake up ready to go, and I don't even take pre-workout or coffee or anything like that. Like, I don't need it. Like, I do like to drink coffee because I'm like a social coffee drinker, but I'm not kind of the person that wakes in the morning like, oh, I need this. Like, I'm just like, I love it. And so for me, it's like training is the journey, like building relationships is the journey, like getting to teach something like this is the journey. And the fact that we can still do things like this is like, I'm so grateful for it, you know? So I guess it's just finding like the love and the passion and having that be enough. Like loving something and truly wanting to spend your time into it, like that's enough. It doesn't have to be comparing yourself to others and like, oh, I'm only going to be happy when I'm ranked a certain way against someone else. Because you're good enough even if you have no competition, you know, like you are enough whether you can or can't get to that next level, you know.
What is your most proud moment?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
What is one of your most, what is that moment, right? I mean, on the heels of everything you've just said, I'm curious for you, Andrea Ager, CrossFit Games athlete, you've accomplished so much. What is one of those standout moments you're like, I'm so proud of myself for this, and you allow yourself to be proud of yourself?
Okay. I guess one of the moments is like, not because you guys are standing here listening, but like last year at Squad Wad was a really cool day for me. It really was. And like, I'll like tear up because whatever, I cry, I don't care. Like, you guys can see me cry all the time. I cried yesterday. Like, but like I love life. Like, I love the challenges that comes with it, but I love like the people that come with it too. And like last year, for some reason, it was like, I was having a hard time. I had like just like really had like a hard winter. Like New York is like winters in New York are very tough. Like you guys know that, right? And like I had just gotten sick a ton, and like I was like pretty like I had a hard couple months. Like me and my boyfriend at the time almost broke up, which we were married, so it's fine. But like when we almost broke up, it was a rough month. And Heidi's like, hey, like I want to come celebrate you, and I'm like, what's there to celebrate? You know? I had that feeling, and like she's like, we're gonna hit all these girls. We're just gonna be crazy. And there was like 60 girls there in the middle of a snowstorm, and like I would have been like miserable, like trudging around this like freaking snow. I missed my family. I'd been away from my family for a year. I'm the oldest of 5. My brothers and sisters are living their lives without me. I miss a lot. And you know, it's just like I got to come and like celebrate with these girls that don't even know me, and like come and like just be excited and train and teach muscle ups to like that many women in one room. I'm like, this is like one of the most empowering things. And so I guess there's moments as a coach standing on, you know, the podium, like even 4th place in 2016 for the CrossFit Games was amazing because, yeah, my teammates were some of the fittest individuals I'd ever met, and yet I was a part of this team that they were on. And like we strived and worked so hard for 7 months to get to this goal, and like, yeah, it hurt not to get 1st place. Like I can even openly say that was like a pull down too, but like it was so cool to get to the games and be like, we made it, you guys. Like we gave Rich running a freaking run for his money. You know what I mean? Like we beat him in several workouts, and I was just like, oh cool, Rich is watching us do something, huh? Most people are doing pretty good. But I mean, moments like those, like I'll never forget them. Like I haven't had kids yet, you know, there's some times in your life where you like never forget, and like I'll never forget my wedding day. I'll never forget the day that I watched Cross, you know, getting my master's in exercise kinesiology. Like I'll never forget those moments, but you know, competing and big moments where there's a lot of energy and a lot of people, like those ones are the ones that like I'll be 80 years old and still thinking about.
What keeps you up at night? What is Andrea Ager still working on? You work out in those dark moments that we all have, those moments of quiet and solace. What's going on in that mind of yours?
Okay. I mean, really what keeps me up at night is ministry. If any of you guys are like involved in a local church, I'm very involved. Me and my husband both are. And, you know, I love God. I love Christ with all my heart. And my faith is something that is so strong to me that like I desire people to know more about God. And like it hurts me because we're in a place that's so dark that it's like people are like, oh, is there any good in the world? And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, like explore your faith, explore what you think is going to happen after you die, because we're not here for very long. And like the love of Christ is the most strong love that you could ever have. And if you don't believe in God yet, like there's so much more for you. And like if you ever want to explore that, like please reach out to me, because those are the relationships I've built that I know will never end. I like the girls that are like, I want to get to know God more. Like I want to know my Creator. Like I want to know what Christ did for me. He died on the cross for every single one of us. And it just depends on what that means to us, if we're going to pursue Him or not. And I want people to go to heaven, and I know what that takes because I've read about it in the Bible, and I really am encouraged and really feel strongly about just sharing Christ's love, because it's changed my entire world. And so for me, like you say, what keeps you up at night? And I'm like, man, I want to make heaven more crowded. That's what I want. And so like if that like pulls at your heartstrings, like DM me, like come to lunch with me afterwards, like whatever. It can just only end up to being more conversations about really good things. So
where did this faith come from, this strong allegiance and urge to share how you feel?
You know, it comes from every one of us not having a perfect relationship with our Father. And like for me, like I have a really rough relationship with my dad, and like we have a heavenly Father that's perfect, that loves us in a perfect way and will never leave us. And like for me, that like strength in that relationship is something that I can't even explain in this world, right? So it's, for me, I needed that, I want that, and it's what drives me. And so I think every girl and every guy deserves to get to know that and to experience it. So whether that's, you know, it doesn't have to be in a church, you guys, you know, there's many ways to experience your spiritual